Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Matt Cox with MA Couture Crafting. And yes, I'm still making bowl cozies. And I probably will do one more video on bowl cozies. However, if I'm going to do another bowl cozy, more than likely it will be using this method. I think, maybe, we'll see. It's the pre-cut batting by the Gypsy Crafter, and yes, it makes it so much faster and easier. This is the way to go. It's not as customizable as the method that I talked about before that I used for the teacup, which is right here. But this 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, you have at least one bowl cozy. And that if you're doing these for holiday gifts or anything like that, this really is the way to go. They come in a couple of different sizes. The more that we like them, because again, the world has gone bowl cozy crazy, the more sizes we'll probably get in the pre-cut batting. I like this one. This is the 10.5-inch fabric that you use for this one. It's the 10.5-inch square. I did another one that is 13. Oh, I forgot. Jeez, maybe I do have a few more videos coming now that I think about it. Yeah, pre-cut batting, 20-30 minutes, you've got a bowl cozy. And you can do some customization. You'll see that on the next bowl cozy video that I've done. Bowl cozy crazy, I get it. I totally get it. I love these. I get why we need them. I watched my mother. I'll tell that story in the next one. Whatever. I'll tell you the story later. But yeah, guys, this is the way to go. This is my favorite. This is my favorite fast method. Let's put it that way. This is my favorite fast method. Again, this is the Gypsy Crafter, the Crafty Gypsy Crafter. Just forgot, just like that. You guys will see. Thanks for watching. I forgot to show you guys this guy. So this is also another pre-cut, super fast. This one I bought because I watched my mother carry this bowl. It's like a plate bowl. She took it out the microwave and then just went running to the table. I'm like, what are you doing? And so it looked crazy. Especially with the oven mitt that was sitting right below the microwave on the oven. You know, I'm like, whatever, Mom. We're going to fix that though. So now she can have these and she can go running or walking now to the table while holding this. I like this guy. This one, I really played with some customization with that. And it holds this plate very, very nicely. It's got a little depth to it, but not a ton of it. And this is their plate cozy. All right, guys, I'll see ya on the next video. Disclaimer, you must use 100% cotton thread, 100% cotton fabric, and 100% cotton batting. No metallic or shimmery bits in your fabric, please, in order to put these in the microwave. So for this, we're going to try it with these pre-cut battings by the Gypsy Crafter. And I must say, this makes it so much faster. I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do. The batting, I guess cutting batting takes time, and also cutting out those darts and marking the darts takes time. But when I tell you this is the way to go if you want to crank these out for the holidays, each package you can do 4 cozies with them. Fast. Very, very, very fast. You can assembly line this. So I guess doing them with Accuquilts, they have a big die that will let you do these also. Probably is the way to go, honestly. I like the squares too, and if you want rounded corners, you can certainly just round the corners of the batting that we did before, but this is the way to go. I'm using these twistable crayons to mark on the batting. They totally work on batting. I don't know why. I don't understand the science behind it, but that's not what I do, so we don't have to question that. Twistable crayons by Crayola. They mark on batting and they don't mark on your ruler. I like it. But they don't sharpen. Well, you might be able to sharpen them to a tip, but they don't come. They just come twist up. So they're kind of thick at the tip. But I bet you I can run these through a sharpener and get them to a point. And that way I don't have to offset this ruler like 1/4 of an inch to get the marking tool to go through the center. I'm going to sew directly on these lines that I am marking from corner to corner. And now we're going to fold it in half after we've sewn corner to corner. And now we're going to just sew those darts. And we're going to sew those darts 1/4 of an inch away. I can't use that guard, but I have a 1/4 of an inch foot here. And we're just going to sew a 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, all the way down. 1/4 of an inch, bam. And then you're going to fold it the other way and do the same thing with the other 2 darts. You should be sewing all 4 darts on each. Don't worry about the fabric poking out right now. You'll trim that away in a second. So then you sew it down again, and then sew it again, 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. Bam, done. When I tell you this is super duper duper fast, it goes very, very quickly. I'm just doing the other one. You have to, what you do for one, you've got to do for the other. And I just make sure that I smooth out the fabric after I folded it over. And you sew down, and you do the same thing here. Do this for all 4 sides. This is the same process that you do for the ones that are not pre-cut, but this one just goes faster. Now you're going to cut about a 1/4 of an inch away and just cut off that excess fabric. Same thing for the other side. You want to try to line it up the best you can, which makes it pretty easy. And then you're also going to cut off those rounded tips just to make sewing these together easier for you. These are fast to do, right sides together. So you're going to flip that out, smooth it out, and then go on ahead and pin these. The most important part are the darts. You want those to be nested if you can. So you want one going in one direction and one going in the other. The one that's on the bottom, I like to make sure that that's not going against the feed dog. So I like to push that one towards me, and then I like to control the one on top that I can see, and I push that one toward the sewing machine so that they nest. And I haven't had any issue with them nesting, but there is a lot of bulk in that area. So I can't use a decorative stitch the way I really want to, because trying to get over these, I have to give it a little encouragement. I'm clipping the curves because it's just good practice. It's just good to do. Give it a little easing. Just make it a little easier for it to turn and a little less bulk. And then you just turn it through that hole. Make sure that you leave a hole and you go forward and backward when you're sewing around the edges. You definitely want to leave a hole so that you can turn this inside and out. And you put a lot of stress on that hole, so go forward and backward before you sew the hole. So now we're going to top stitch it. I just rolled the seams out, gave it a little press. And here I really want to use all kind of decorative stitches, but you just can't. It's too much bulk for me, for my machine. So instead I chose to use a zigzag stitch, which is kind of still a decorative stitch. It's better than a straight stitch. I prefer a zigzag stitch because you could, if it's a straight stitch, you can totally tell if it's not super straight. And because there's so much bulk, I just don't want to chance it. So I am going all the way around, going forward and backward where I stopped, and there we have a decorative stitch. So I wanted to get a little fancy with the next pre-cut, which is much larger. It's a plate. It's supposed to be for plates. It's got a little depth to it. So I decided to do a 4-patch. So I cut 4 squares at 7 inches. I should have cut them at 6.5, but I cut them at 7, which gave me more to have to cut away later. And sew them all together. And then again, we're going to do the exact same process. You're going to draw that diagonal line from corner to corner. I wasn't being extremely careful about making sure that the darts lined up directly with the 4-patch. It just wasn't that serious to me. Make this nice and fun and easy, because at the end of the day, you're just going to sew them all together. If that's going to freak you out, then, you know, do what you got to do. But for me, just didn't freak me out at all. Wasn't worried about it, not one bit. Did the same thing with the other. This is the exact same process. Smooth it out. And again, I wish I had cut these down just a little bit. That would have been better because I had to trim away a little bit more than I wanted to. So yeah, I would cut these at 6.5 as opposed to 7-inch squares and then sew them together. you want to get a 13-inch square. So now we're going to sew these diagonals. Again, I'm using my open toe foot, and you just speed right through it. Do that for all the straight lines that you just sewed. And now we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch the same way that we did before. And we're just going to stitch straight down. Slow and steady wins the race. So you do that for all 4. Cut away your excess. And again, for this, I had to cut away way more than I wanted to, which slowed me down a little bit. My own fault. Again, I would have cut these at 6.5. And so you smooth them out and line up those darts again. We're going to nest those darts. And I like to use Wonder Clips because if I use a bunch of pins, I will hurt myself. When I use pins is when I want to mark where to start and stop. It's just a reminder to backstitch right there. Otherwise, I won't remember. So I'm going all around this, and I'm sure I put in some straight pins because that's, again, what tells me to leave a hole and to also backstitch and forward stitch right there because you're going to be putting a lot of tension on the hole. So I cut all around and I left a hole on the straightaway. Do not leave it where there's a bulk, If you didn't sew right here, like, that's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. I just trimmed that away to reduce some bulk in the seams. So now I'm turning it through the hole. Turning it, and then we're going to push out these corners and edges. Roll it with your fingers to make sure that you have got it completely turned out. Where the hole is, I like to give it a little tug and fold that over, and it usually falls right into place. And this is, I was just measuring to see if this plate is going to fit, and it does. It looks so pretty in there. So then we're going to give it a little press. I'm fidgeting with it more. See, I'm tugging on it just to close that up. And I like to give it a nice hard press where I have closed it just so that it knows to stay closed. And then we can do a top stitch all around. Again, I chose to do a zigzag stitch here. You can do a straight stitch. Your machine might be able to handle a decorative stitch, but going back and forth over all this bulk, it's just a lot of chances for my machine to get upset with me. See right there, I had to give it a little encouragement to get over that hump where the dart is. And this is me finishing her up. And bam, there you go. I love that. I love a decorative stitch. I consider a zigzag stitch decorative. You can play with how long or short you want it. And that's it, guys. Now I have a plate cozy. Give it a little haircut and we're done. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching my bowl cozy videos.